Hey guys, this is Alana. You know me. Welcome. I hope that it has been a really good day for you so far and a good week for you so far. And I hope that things are going really well for you in your writing. I am here with a little kind of pep talk for you to remind you, or maybe it's not even a reminder, to encourage you to think about the way that you think about time and the way that you speak about time, because that can actually have a very dramatic impact on your productivity, on your word count, on your stress level, things like that. If I could, there is one phrase that I would absolutely choose to erase from the vernacular, and that is, I don't have time for. When I first started to think about this concept, two things happened kind of in a similar time period that really drove this point home for me. One was I was reading in, I believe it was, forget if the book is called The Big Leap or The Great Leap. It has to do with ways that we kind of self-sabotage ourselves. And he was talking about our concept of time and how it truly is relative and how it never actually is a fact that you don't have time to do something. And the way that he kind of laid this story out is, imagine a mom who's at the table, her little toddler's playing, and the mom's working on her laptop. And the little girl says, "Mommy, let's play a game." And the mommy says, No, dear, I don't have time. Too busy. I've got to get this done. And then a few minutes later, the little girl comes back and says, Mommy, we want to play a game now, right? And the mom says, No, I don't have time. And then the little girl wanders off, and she comes back with a huge gash on her finger that the mom takes a look at, and at a glance realizes that gash is going to need some stitches, right? Of course, the mom is going to stop what she's doing. There are going to be consequences, right? But she's going to stop what she's doing and take her daughter to get the care that she needs. So literally there always is time for the things that have to happen, right? Similarly, like people joke, I don't have time to sleep. Well, do you know what? If you go long enough, your body's just gonna like fall unconscious on you. It's all going to work. And my 24 hours a day is no different than your 24 hours a day. And so if we can get rid of this concept of I don't have time, that actually can really increase our sense of feeling empowered about our time management, because so many of us are living in this very kind of flustered state where like our mantra is, I don't have time to do it all. Okay. The second thing that really drove this point home, my best friend and I were having a conversation about time management and productivity and stuff. And to this day, Jamie and I forget which one of us was the one who said it. I thought she said it. She thinks I say it. So we both give each other the credit for it. But what came out in that conversation, and I'm sure one of us was quoting somebody else anyway, is that busyness is like a social construct. Busyness is a state of mind. Busyness does not exist. There is no such tangible thing as busyness. And so I might have 10 things to do on my to-do list today. Someone else might have the exact same things on their to-do list. We might have the exact same family situation, the exact same kind of energy level, health, baseline, and things like that. And one of us can go into that day totally overwhelmed, feeling like you're never going to have time to get it all done. And the other person can go into that day accepting that there is always going to be an abundance of time, and we both have the same 24 hours, right? So I want to encourage you to think about this idea that busyness truly is like a state of mind and not an actual fact, so that when you're feeling super anxious about all the things on your to-do list, like it's going to feel so counterintuitive, but the very best thing you can do is actually stop everything. Even take like 3 deep breaths. How long is that going to take you? Like 15 seconds at the most, probably. And that's if you're like doing really long breaths, right? Take a couple really deep breaths. Remind yourself all the things that absolutely have to get done. They're absolutely going to get done, right? And everything else can fall into place, and it's in exactly the right way. This isn't an excuse for being lazy, which is another word that I would love to take out of the vernacular. But this is just an invitation to recognize that the things that you need to do are going to happen. And another thing that I would actually like Okay, going back to words I would remove from vernacular talking about time. There is no time for it is absolutely one I would remove. The other two that I really don't love, one we just talked about, and the other one is I have to, right? Because think about it truly. What do you have to do? Well, you have to breathe, right? But your body's going to take care of that automatically. You have to eat and drink and sleep. And if for some reason you don't do that, your body's going to eventually make sure you do that. Yes, we have to take care of our families, but even that, I mean, I'm not saying go neglect your kids. I'm saying that like everything that needs to happen is absolutely going to fall into place. And so you don't need to carry around as much stress as you probably are carrying around. Let me let that dog out. So for example, after dinner, I tend to do a decent amount of work in the evening. And so after dinner, my husband and I, let's say we're going to watch a movie. I'm careful to not say, I have to go respond to some emails. Because do I have to? No. And if I keep telling myself that these are things I have to do, that increases the sense of feeling flustered and like it's never going to happen and that you're feeling guilty if you don't, and feeling totally victimized by always feeling like time is the enemy, right? And there's never going to be enough of it. And there's always going to be more to do than you've got time to do. So instead, I'll say something like, I've decided I'm going to take 20 minutes to take care of some emails, and then I'll be free to do this. And when you, even that simple change in wording, instead of saying, I have to go do this, I'm trying to make it a habit to say it to my kids too. They say, Mom, do you want to play a game? Because we love board games. And I'll say, let me finish this up first, instead of I have to finish this up first. Because it's a reminder to myself that there are very few things that I have to do right now. Right? So I want to encourage you to even know yourself, know if this exercise is going to be helpful for you or not. Some people, it might kind of get you spiraling, in which case don't do it. But for some people, it's helpful to go through this not quite a worst case scenario, but basically this what if you went to the doctor and he said or she said, you are working so hard that if you do not take the next 6 weeks and do absolutely nothing, you are going to be dead in 3 months. And let's say that also this was a medical person that you trusted and they had the numbers and resources to totally back it up, which of course nobody's going to know that for certain. But in as much as anybody can be certain about anything, this doctor says you must spend 6 weeks doing nothing. Okay? Yes, most of us are going to feel like crazy anxious thinking about that. But for some of you, it's going to actually be helpful to get some of that burden off your shoulders to think about what truly is the worst thing that's going to happen, right? Okay, so maybe your books aren't going to be published and you're going to push back a pre-order date. Amazon might send you a little nasty gram. And then 6 weeks later than scheduled, your books are going to come out, right? Maybe it means that a reader emails you and they don't hear from you for a couple weeks. And then when they do hear from you, they're like, oh, that's cool. Right? So there are very few things, especially for us as authors, that kind of mean the end of the world if we have to slow down. And that's encouraging. And again, I'm not saying that it's a reason to not do anything, but it's a reason to remember that you can take some of that pressure off yourself. The other word that I would love to get out of vernacular is just laziness, right? So many times we can beat ourselves up for being lazy, but it's very seldom like true laziness. There's almost always some kind of other underlying thing going on. Are you tired? Are you depressed? Are you getting enough exercise? Are you deficient in certain vitamins that make you function better, right? I'm not trying to give medical or mental health advice. It's just don't be so hard on yourself, especially when we talk about productivity, there's a lot of shame, right? And by watching the way you talk about yourself, your time, taking ownership of your time instead of talking about yourself as if you're the victim of never having enough time, those are all things that can help you recognize that, there is always time for the things that need to get done. So I hope that was encouraging and useful for you, and we will talk to you soon.